work with me is work with their heart and their inner child and self-love. So
okay, well, yeah, it's great to hear you talking about the divine feminine, and I appreciate that. That's one of my favorite sort of areas as well, and I think that it is not discussed or talked about, at least in the circles that I travel in, very much. Women are becoming more and more aware of it. Men, to some degree, although there's a very interesting dynamic going on right now, I think, between men and women and the male and female on the planet. And I wonder if you would like to talk about that a little bit.
Interesting. Say just a little bit more before I do. I just want to make sure we're going in the same direction when you say.
Well, I mean, it's very obvious to me, and I think that to most people out there, relationships are going through a lot of stresses and strain.
Oh, okay. Right.
There's a rebalancing in terms of the masculine and feminine energy on the planet, and in terms of leadership, there's also, I believe at this time, women are really coming to the fore. There's a reason for that. There's a rebalancing happening on the planet in terms of the divine feminine and between masculine and feminine energy, and that comes from a whole history in which we are now reversing the flow. And so I wonder if you want to talk about that.
Sure. I probably don't have quite the same background as you, or maybe perspective, but similar. I can say, at least from my own experience, which is always a safe way to talk about something like that, I see it kind of out there in the world, what's going on with, friends of mine, relationships, and the dynamics of male and female. I think some of it, too, is that maybe I'm seeing the other side is men are maybe allowing themselves to be more connected to their femininity in a way that they haven't ever before, to feel safe with it. I mean, that's part of what I'm seeing, at least some of the work that I have done with men, which is different than, the work I do with women, is that being able to be in the presence of a woman and connect to their femininity, connect to some of their qualities. They don't have to see them as feminine. It's kind of a weaving together of masculine and feminine. It doesn't mean that it's weak or that it's strong. It's just, what am I trying to say here is that what I have found is that sometimes when men have an experience where their heart opens, they get into judging, or they get into looking at, oh my God, what does this mean? How can I feel heart-centered and in my power and comfortable and connected to the femininity aspect of who I am, a feeling of safety. And so this is some of the work that I have done with some of my men clients and people that come to work with me in a workshop modality, is allowing them to feel a comfort level with that. And then also with women too, them feeling like, hey, I'm coming into my power, this is who I am. I see it as an integration of the male and female aspects of who we all are inherently. In some ways, I think when these come together in a balanced blend, it's almost like, I don't want to use the word androgynous, but, it almost goes beyond male and female. Do you know what I mean? It's more just about.
Exactly the point. I mean, I think that we are moving into an androgyny. I agree with, there is a unification happening. There's also a rising above the polarization of opposites.
Right.
It's part of what.
Right. Exactly. To me, Carrie, it's about the divine feminine and divine masculine coming into just one, a balance of wholeness. So it's just divine love, so that you were talking about the divine androgynous or something. I mean, I never really used that word, but it's still, there's something about the heart and the heart opening and, the expansiveness of love, even expanding love into areas, areas of darkness that, we talk about the skeletons in the closet, taking love into those areas as well and letting it all be love instead of getting into a judgmental thing, because I think originally it came from love and it was somehow manipulated or twisted in some way, but I feel that our essence is divine love. And so if we move into it, I feel like the secret is really in the heart. I feel like if we're anchored in the heart and we're moving from the heart, and I'm not saying not being discerning, we need to have discernment, but getting comfortable with anchoring and feeling what it's like to be heart-centered, and feeling empowered at the same time and vulnerable. It's quite a combination.
That's for sure. And I see that people are trying to balance these things all the time, obviously. But I do see also a change in that what we have seen in the past as a very masculine, bent to society in terms of war and a very male aggressive stance. I think that the new energies coming to the planet at this time are requiring a much more feminine approach to reality, and that is for both men and women. And so I think that there is there's something that can be learned there. It's almost like learning a dance. In other words, if you were to view reality as a balancing act, then when you're dancing, being in balance is absolutely primary. And so in the midst of dancing at this time, through the energies that are coming in, because have you noticed the energy is changing? There's just change in energy coming into the planet. It's requiring that we behave actually differently.
Yeah, that we have more integrity, that we're more honest with ourselves, not with just each other. I think it's even beyond the earth. I think it might even be energy. I have a friend that's an echist who's now working on building a film company here in California, and I was having a deep conversation with him the other day. He feels like what would it be, galactic or cosmic or something. I mean, I think I believe there's other civilizations and humans that have had it long before we do. We've had it, I think it's newer here, but I feel like it's broader than just the earth. I mean, I feel like there's something going on that's beyond this planet, and new frequencies of sound and light.
That's right. I agree too. I think that perhaps you're not familiar with Project Camelot and what we do all that well, but, I do encourage you to watch our videos when you get a chance in the future. They will take many hours of your time. We've got hundreds of hours of video footage out there.
Right.
But certainly it goes beyond the Earth. In fact, the Earth is being impacted from outside the solar system and from a lot of different energies coming in, and this whole superwave, one of our witnesses calls it a galactic superwave, that's coming towards the Earth at this time. And what's happening just recently with the volcanic eruption in Iceland, the various earthquakes, and then also the activity on the sun, even this week alone, there is a lot of indications now that 2010 this year is starting to ramp up to be a very challenging year in terms of the earth changes. Right.
But you know what I think, Carrie, could offset that? And I'm probably being a little idyllic, or, I don't know if this would be just a spiritual fantasy. I actually believe as light workers, and I don't know who the listeners are today. I'm sure there could be some light workers like you and me and intuitives on there. But I feel that through holding a certain frequency of love and light, and I don't really know what other words to use other than that, because, if there was another language or another way to put it, I would. But I believe by holding a certain sound and light frequency and the way we use our emotions and our thoughts, that we can shift and soften some of these earth changes. And I can give you an example of that if you want to hear it. When I was
very much involved in this as well, and these are things that our witnesses talk about quite a bit. In fact, that is what we're working for. But go right ahead.
Yeah, I live on the Big Island, okay? There's a lot of people in the Hawaiian Islands, and,